He's brilliant. He's powerful. He's got a vocabulary that could make Shakespeare sit down and rethink his career. And yet, Beast, the big blue overly articulate ball of fur from the X-Men, might just be the saddest mutant in the entire Marvel universe. Think about it. The guy has the strength of a gorilla, the mind of a Nobel Prize winner, and the social charm of a haunted library. But underneath all that muscle and monologue is a man who somehow turned being a genius superhero into a lifelong existential crisis. And the worst part, he did most of it to himself. You'd think someone with a brain that big would avoid injecting themselves with sketchy mutant serum. But nope, Hank McCoy rolled the dice and woke up looking like Cookie Monster on creatine. You clicked on this video because deep down, you sensed it. Something's always been off about Beast's life. Not just the fur, not just the fact that he quotes Tennyson while punching sentinels. It's deeper, sadder, hairier. So how did one of Marvel's smartest characters end up as the tragic punchline of the mutant world? Let's unpack why Beast's life sucks more than you think, and why that's exactly what makes him the most human X-Man of all. Before he was Beast, the blue-furred philosopher warrior mutant with a tragic backstory, he was just Hank McCoy, a gifted, brainy kid with unusually large hands and feet who looked like he could palm a bowling ball in kindergarten. Mutations hit everyone differently, but for Hank, puberty came with extra seasoning. While his classmates were busy getting acne and voice cracks, Hank was growing claws, bench-pressing cars, and realizing he couldn't wear sandals without people crossing the street. His mutation enhanced his physical abilities, sure, but it also ensured he'd never again fit in a school dance or in any chair made after the 1800s. But here's the real kicker. He wasn't even blue back then. That glorious Smurf transformation, that was self-inflicted. Hank thought he could fix his mutation, make himself appear more human so people would accept him. Instead, he turned himself into a hairy science experiment that makes toddlers cry in public. It's tragic irony. The smarter he got, the worse his life became. Most kids fear acne. Hank feared waking up one morning and realizing his toes had evolved into tree branches. Spoiler alert, they did. You know what's worse than being a blue-furred mutant with claws? Trying to find a pair of pants that fits. Beast may be a genius biochemist, but he hasn't cracked the code of mutant fashion. Every other X-Man gets a sleek, tailored suit. Wolverine's got leather. Cyclops has his polished Boy Scout armor. And Beast? He looks like he got lost on the way to Comic-Con in a bedsheet stapled to a yoga mat. It's not even about style, it's logistics. You try finding a button-up shirt that can handle shoulder boulders, 3-inch claws, and a bag that looks like a snag carpet from the 70s. His wardrobe consists of two things: ruined sleeves and crushed dreams. And formal events, don't even get me started. Imagine being invited to testify before Congress and showing up looking like a gorilla disguised as a substitute professor. He's giving TED Talk energy, if the T stood for tragedy. Even his superhero costume screams last-minute clearance rack. It's like the designers went, let's give him something tight, itchy, and vaguely humiliating to match his soul. Fashion may not define a man, but in Beast's case, it definitely mocks him. If being smart made you popular, Hank McCoy would be a mutant prom king, Nobel laureate, and X-Men team leader, all at once. Instead, he's the guy who solves interdimensional crises, alone in the lab, while everyone else is out punching sentinels and getting romantic B-plots. Beast is what happens when intelligence becomes isolation. He can recite Latin poetry, explain quantum entanglement, and hack Cerebro in his sleep, but nobody's texting him. You up? At 2 a.m. Unless it's because Danger Room is on fire. Again. You'd think being the smartest mutant in the room would earn you respect. Instead, it earns him distance. Wolverine thinks he talks too much. Gambit thinks he's boring. Storm thinks he's overthinking things. Which is impressive coming from someone who controls weather with her emotions. There's this tragic irony to Beast. The more he tries to help, the more alien he becomes. His mind operates on a level so high, he might as well be orbiting Earth emotionally. In the X-Men universe, brains don't get you love, connection, or even proper screen time. They just get you stuck in the sub-basement, arguing with yourself in Shakespeare quotes while assembling mutant vaccines that no one ever says thank you for. Smart? Absolutely. Connected? Not even close. Beast's dating history is like a bad sitcom written by a team of scientists who's never spoken to a human woman. Let's start with Trish Tilby, the one woman who actually saw past the claws and fur for a little while. She was a journalist, intelligent, ambitious, and for a hot second, genuinely into Hank. Things were going well until he mutated even more, and she realized she wasn't into the whole Blue Chewbacca reciting Plato vibe. So, like any sane person dating a man who suddenly turns into a walking science experiment, she bailed. One day, he's charming. The next, he's shedding on the furniture and talking about genetic drift over dinner. He's also had awkward crushes on teammates like Jean Grey and Emma Frost. Yeah, that's like asking out the prom queen while you're dressed as a philosophy professor in a fursuit. Emma Frost could literally freeze him with a glance. And probably has. And Mystique, depending on the timeline, she either flirts with him, mocks him, or tries to murder him. Talk about toxic relationships. He's just one bad Tinder date away from becoming a villain himself. Beast isn't unlucky in love. He's catastrophic. Every romance is a new chapter in why dating while mutated should be a crime. Beast is a founding member of the X-Men. You'd think that counts for something. Legacy, leadership, maybe even a cool nickname like Professor Furball. But no. On every team lineup, Beast somehow ends up as the emotional support scientist no one makes eye contact with. In any X-Men poster, he's either in the background or crouched awkwardly like he just photobombed by accident. He's not the leader, Cyclops, the fan favorite, Wolverine, or the weather goddess with stunning cheekbones, Storm. He's the blue guy who shows up, solves the plot with tech talk, and then politely fades into the shadows before the cool kids start high-fiving. Even when he's trying to help, it backfires. He warns them about time travel paradoxes, ignored. Builds a world-saving cure, rejected. Suggests diplomacy, laughed out of the room by people who wear spandex to funerals. And in X-Men 97, the man spends most of the season in a jail cell, quoting literature like a sad, well-read hamster in a cage. Meanwhile, everyone else gets dramatic arcs, explosions, and passionate speeches. Beast gets visitors. Occasionally. It's not that the X-Men hate him. It's worse. They forget he's there. He's the mutant equivalent of your group chat's guy who sends articles no one reads. Useful? Sure. Memorable? Not really. Yes, Beast was once an Avenger. Technically. He wore the badge, fought side by side with Earth's mightiest heroes, even cracked jokes with Wonder Man, who, to be fair, is basically Hollywood's Jim Bro version of a lava lamp. But despite standing on the biggest superhero stage on Earth, Beast was still the weird furry dude no one wanted to carpool with. Tony Stark called him Furball. Thor kept forgetting his name. Captain America appreciated the brains, but let's be honest, Beast gave off major, trying too hard to be liked by the cool kids energy. He's like the guy who gets invited to the party because he fixed someone's Wi-Fi that one time. And unlike Wolverine, who gets Avengers and X-Men glory, plus merch deals and a fan base that writes poems about his pain. Beast just blended in. Not in a stealthy ninja way, more in a we needed a scientist guy and you were available kind of way. Never on the front lines, just in the back, analyzing gamma radiation and asking Hulk not to crush the server rack. Like being in the band, but only playing tambourine, off stage. So yeah, Beast was an Avenger. Just not the kind kids remember when they buy action figures. If overthinking were a superpower, Beast would have wiped out half the Marvel Universe just by pacing and quoting Voltaire. While other X-Men are out brawling with Sentinels or starting mutant revolutions, Hank McCoy is in the lab questioning the morality of their existence. Usually out loud, to no one, while holding a coffee mug labeled "Mutant Problems Require Mutant Philosophy." This is a man who literally cannot go 5 minutes without a moral crisis. He's constantly wrestling with questions like, are mutants the next step in evolution, or a threat? Should I interfere with time if I already regret everything I've done? Did I ruin my life with one syringe of blue regret? Meanwhile, Wolverine's in a corner sharpening claws and not giving a single philosophical damn. Beast could panic over whether self-improvement betrays his DNA. His love language, it's not physical touch or words of affirmation. It's ethical debates and tragic monologues, delivered in perfect iambic pentameter. He doesn't just feel bad, he analyzes his sadness until it spawns a new reason to be sad. It's not drama. It's not even trauma. It's a full-blown Greek tragedy wrapped in fur, anxiety, and broken idealism. Forget Magneto. Forget Apocalypse. Beast has been battling one villain his entire life, and it lives rent-free in his own furry skull. This guy who literally mutated himself further out of society, he looked at his already struggling life, full of mutant discrimination and awkward social moments, and said, "You know what would fix this? Turning into a 6-foot shag carpet with claws. Genius intellect. Meet zero self-preservation." And it didn't stop there. Hank constantly builds machines, serums, and solutions that accidentally make everything worse. In one timeline, he breaks the multiverse. In another, he brings the original X-Men to the present and forgets how to send them back. That's not just bad judgment. That's multiversal self-sabotage. He mutates himself, then hates it, tries to fix it, regrets it. It's an endless feedback loop of, what if I'm the problem? Spoiler, he is. And while most heroes fight external enemies, Beast fights internal guilt, identity crises, and the ever-growing suspicion that he peaked at age 14, right before he turned into a muscled-up muppet with an inferiority complex. For Beast, the greatest threat has never been outside the mansion. It's always been in the mirror. Some heroes leave a legacy. Beast leaves footprints, a bunch of regret, and maybe a slightly improved version of Cerebro that no one remembers he built. Let's start with the obvious. No kids. No mini beasts running around quoting Einstein and destroying furniture with their feet. Beast's love life is so barren, even the concept of fatherhood took one look and swiped left. He couldn't even keep a relationship with someone who knew what she signed up for. And mentorship? Not really his thing either. Sure, he teaches at Xavier School, but nobody walks away saying, "Beast changed my life." At best, they remember that time he assigned 3 chapters of mutant ethics and made them cry during a pop quiz on Darwinism. His name isn't etched into mutant history with reverence. There are no Hank McCoy Day parades, no statues, no murals. Just a long string of morally gray decisions, awkward apologies, and, well, at least he meant well moments. And when you stack him up next to legends like Professor X, Magneto, and Wolverine, Beast looks less like a cornerstone of mutant kind and more like the blue post-it note someone forgot to peel off the legacy wall. For a guy who's always thinking about the future, he sure didn't leave much of a mark on it. If Beast ever Googled himself, he'd probably cry. Not because of what he's done, but because the internet has turned his entire existence into a walking punchline. He's been called everything from Blue Fraser Crane on steroids to Groucho Marx with claws and a protein addiction. There are memes of him looking like he's mid-existential crisis at an IKEA. Comment sections say he looks like he's losing custody of kids he never had. It doesn't help that half of his appearances make him look like someone deep-faked a gorilla into a philosophy professor. In most comic panels, Beast is either hanging upside down like a sad acrobat or dramatically perched on a ledge, pondering the ethics of war while everyone else is throwing punches. Even his cool moments get ruined by the fact that he looks like a failed Pixar experiment. Say what you will about Wolverine, at least no one confuses him with a Muppet having a midlife crisis. Beast has become the mascot for misunderstood intellectuals who also happen to resemble a tragic build-your-own monster kit, and the internet, it feasts on that. He's not trending for saving the world. He's trending for looking like the world chewed him up, quoted Aristotle, and spat him back out. Beast isn't evil. He isn't reckless. He's just tragic. Everything he did, mutating himself, overanalyzing every choice, trying to be the moral compass of mutant kind, came from a place of wanting to help, and yet it always backfired. He became less understood, less accepted, and more isolated. The more he tried to fix things, the worse they got, like watching a genius play chess against his own self-esteem, and losing. Beast didn't need more power. He needed peace, and maybe a therapist who didn't live in a mansion full of trauma bombs. Underneath the fur and the Shakespeare is a guy who just wanted to matter, but never felt like he did. That's what makes Beast so heartbreaking. He wasn't the villain, but he never really got to be the hero either. So yeah, Beast's life, it sucks. Blue, brilliant, and constantly overlooked. He's Marvel's saddest genius, with the worst luck and the deepest inner monologue. Enjoy the misery? Hit like, subscribe, and comment below. And let us know in the comments, which X-Men has it worse than Beast? Spoiler, it's probably Cyclops. Thanks for watching, and remember, don't self-mutate. Just get a haircut or something.